good morning, good afternoon, good evening to our global audience, wherever you're watching from. Welcome to this live program marking the International Day of Clean Energy, and welcome to UEF at 5. I am Bukola Koka, a broadcast journalist based here in West Africa, and I'm very honored to be your host today. And so today we celebrate the 5th anniversary of the Universal Energy Facility, UEF, a clean energy financing facility delivering real results across Africa. Today, we'll reflect on its impact to date, exploring, of course, new projects that are underway and highlighting opportunities to engage later on the program. And on this note, I'd like to direct you to the bottom of your screen where the website will be displayed throughout the broadcast time. The website, of course, provides all the information that you'll be needing about opportunities for UEF that we'll be discussing today. So, see the bottom of your screen for the opportunities. Now, what's this all about? Launched in 2020, the UEF is a multi-donor facility that de-risks off-grid renewable energy projects in hard-to-reach communities in Africa through results-based financing, paying developers for every verified electricity connection that has been delivered. The facility is, of course, managed by Sustainable Energy for All, SE for All. And in just 5 years, the UEF has operated across 6 countries, supporting electricity access for thousands of people, many of them for the first time, while at the same time also avoiding nearly 5,000 tons of CO2 emissions each year. Now, talk to me about that. Of course, we have an exciting show for you today, and it's my singular honor to introduce our first high-level speakers. First, of course, is Damilola Ogunbiyi. She's the CEO and Special Representative of the UN Secretary General for Sustainable Energy for All and co-chair of UN Energy. She'll be setting the stage and providing context for our first discussion. And our second speaker is another important partner, the United Nations Office for Project Services, UNOPS, which hosts SE for All, and the UEF represented, of course, by Mr. Andrew Kirkwood, the director of UNOPS Geneva office. Now, it's time for me to yield the floor to our distinguished speakers. I'll be back soon.
Excellencies, distinguished partners, colleagues, and friends. Energy is about possibility. It determines if countries can economically grow and whether communities can build resilience in the face of environmental and economic shocks. Yet for hundreds of millions of people, especially in fragile and underserved regions, access to energy has remained out of reach. This is why results-based financing has emerged as one of the most powerful tools available in bringing energy to underserved communities. When we launched the Universal Energy Facility in 2020, together with our partners, we aim to do what traditional finance could not: make off-grid renewable energy commercially viable in communities long considered too risky for investment. Through the UEF, we have built mini-grids and standalone solar systems that bring reliable, clean power to households, businesses, schools, health clinics, and other critical community services. Today, as we mark 5 years of the UEF, we celebrate an impressive milestone. Operating across Benin, Madagascar, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and Zambia, the UEF has committed 24.5 million and leveraged an additional 19.7 million in private capital. The progress would not have been possible without our partners. I extend my deepest gratitude to our donors, governments, private sector developers, investors, implementing partners, and communities who have made the UEF a success. In the last 5 years, we've shown what is possible when we employ smart, catalytic finance that can be deployed at speed, In the next 5 years, let's continue to work together to focus on deploying these solutions at scale so that everyone everywhere has the energy they need to live a dignified life on a healthy planet.
At UNOPS, we're really proud to host Sustainable Energy for All and its flagship initiative, the Universal Energy Facility. The UEF is a great example of what's possible when hosted partnerships work together with our country offices around the world. UEF's results-based financing model is more relevant now than it's ever been, and we really look forward to continuing to support UEF in its mission of bringing affordable, sustainable energy to the communities that need it most.
Wow, thank you, Madam Ogunbi, and of course, Mr. Andrew Kirkwood as well, for your inspirational words, not forgetting our incredible partners all over the world. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to now hand you over to Anita Otubu, the Senior Director of the UEF and our moderator for today. She will now lead a discussion with a high-level panel reflecting on 5 years of the UEF's impacts, lessons learned along the way, and of course, plans to scale the UEF to even greater heights. Anita, over to you.
Bukola, I would like to start by thanking our partners for their continued support and my CEO, Damilola Ogunbi, for her leadership in championing results-based financing as a credible pathway to universal energy access. Good afternoon to everyone joining us across different time zones, and welcome to today's 5-year anniversary event for the Universal Energy Facility. I'm Anita Otubu, Senior Director of the Universal Energy Facility at Sustainable Energy for All. When the Universal Energy Facility was launched in 2020, the question we set out to answer was simple but ambitious. Could results-based financing unlock private investment for energy access projects in underserved communities? 5 years on, the answer is clear. Yes, it can. The Universal Energy Facility, also known as the UEF, has supported the deployment of mini-grids and standalone solar systems across 6 countries. And over the past 5 years, the facility has disbursed over $16 million, supporting developers to deliver verified electricity connections, enabling over 60,000 people to gain new or improved access to power, many for the first time, while thousands of businesses, schools, and health facilities now also operate with reliable electricity. Importantly, we have leveraged $20 million in private sector capital, proving that results-based financing can shift risk perceptions and crowd in investment, essentially saying that grant funding is catalytic. The UEF has also adapted its results-based financing mechanism to new thematic areas, including incentivizing the deployment of clean cook stoves in Sierra Leone and productive use appliances in Zambia. In addition, the UEF is seeking $1 million in co-financing to scale passive cooling and sustainable cold chain solutions for agriculture across Sub-Saharan Africa, catalyzing $100 million worth of investment pipeline with strong climate development and equity impacts. Today's discussion is an opportunity to reflect on what has worked, what we have learned, and what it will take to go further and faster. I'm delighted to be joined by an outstanding group of partners who have been instrumental in shaping and supporting the UEF journey, amongst others. Ashvin Dayal, Senior Vice President for Power at the Rockefeller Foundation, and Carol Koch, Vice President for Africa at the Global Energy Alliance for People and Planet. Together, we will explore how blended finance and results-based approaches have mobilized capital, delivered real outcomes for communities, and what the next phase of scale requires. With that being said, let me begin by turning to Ashvin. From your perspective, what has been most effective about the UEF model in giving philanthropic and private investors the confidence to deploy capital into rural and underserved communities?
Well, thank you so much, Anita, for having me, and congratulations to the UEF on this milestone of reaching 5 years. And we've been really delighted as the Rockefeller Foundation to be part of the journey right from the outset, as I think one of the earliest supporters of the UEF. Look, I mean, I think to your question about what's giving investors the confidence to deploy capital, it's multiple things. Firstly, in my view, the UEF helped to kind of make the moral and economic case for last mile electrification, and how subsidy or grant capital must play a role combined with other forms of investment, just as it has been, frankly, in any advanced economy that has achieved universal electrification. So just the big idea was probably one of the most important early breakthroughs of the UEF. On top of that, the process of implementing a disciplined mechanism like the UEF has actually helped to build the mini grid and the off grid electrification market. If you think about the price discovery process that has been undertaken through implementing a results based financing scheme, assessing the risk, building that disciplined approach, and through that, surfacing dozens of local private companies and developers who are willing to participate in last mile electrification as a private sector led activity. And then finally, we shouldn't underestimate the impact that it's had in creating the enabling environment around the market, where, frankly, conviction around off grid electrification was still fairly low. It was being treated with some skepticism. But along with mechanisms like the UEF, you've seen governments now really fully embrace this idea that to reach everyone everywhere is going to take a mix of technologies. It can't just be about building a traditional centralized grid. And I think the UEF, in the countries that it's worked in, has played a really important role in creating that atmosphere and that understanding of how these different technologies work together. So, it's great to see the results that have been achieved so far with the 60,000 plus people that have been connected. There's a lot more to do, but I do think it's really set the tone for building a market that can be taken to a much bigger scale.
Thank you so much, Ashbin. And honestly, we sincerely appreciate the confidence and the support that we have received so far from the Rockefeller Foundation. We wouldn't have been able to achieve all of this without your support and that commitment. I have a second question for you, another follow up question. As we look to the next phase of UEF's growth, where do you see the greatest opportunity to scale this model further, geographically or from a technology perspective? Noting that the Rockefeller Foundation, of course, has been an integral part of the UEF's expansion into Zambia.
Yeah, well, look, you mentioned Zambia, and I think that's a great example that actually helps answer the question. We've been partnering with the UEF to look at what are the innovations that need to be tried. 5 years on, what have we learned? Some things have worked, other things have not worked. So what I'm really excited about is the fact that the UEF is also adapting its model, rethinking, in different contexts, what is the best, most cost-effective and impactful way to apply subsidies. So looking at the whole question of demand and revenue guarantees as one part of the new sort of model around what we're trying to do with the UEF in Zambia. There's even newer ideas around universal access clusters, for example. How do we integrate multiple technologies in a given geographic area so you can mimic a sort of traditional grid infrastructure? And that creates, again, greater confidence in a market that can attract more developers, attract more investors. And then the last thing I would say on the opportunity to scale is no conversation about electrification in Africa today can really happen without talking about Mission 300 and the huge opportunity that's been created with the commitment of the large multilateral development banks to electrify 300 million people in Africa by 2030. Now, 140 million of those 300, give or take, are estimated to be connected via off-grid electrification solutions. So to me, the Universal Energy Facility can be this incredible catalyst, precursor, seed investor that connects into these much larger pools of capital that are going to be made available for electrification projects across the continent through funding from the World Bank, the African Development Bank, and then, of course, all of the private investments that comes from developers and funders as a result of that. So all of this work that's been done over the last 5 years, I think has an incredible opportunity now to be taken to a massive scale so that we're no longer just talking about tens of thousands of people, but tens of millions of people over the next few years.
Thank you so much, Ashwin. Absolutely agree with the points that you've made, and really looking forward to the impact and the outcome from Mission 300. Now, with that being said, I'd like to move on to our next esteemed panel member, Carol. From GAP's perspective, how important are the tangible outcomes, such as jobs, productive use, and stronger rural livelihoods that the UEF, with GAP support, has delivered?
First of all, thank you very much for having me here, Anita, and also congratulations on turning 5 years. This is a critical milestone. And, looking at the African perspective, especially, the challenge of jobs is real. We have a growing population. I saw a statistic today that as of 2025, 60% of Africa's population is under 25. That tells you that that's a critical moment where we truly need to find solutions for jobs. And we believe at GEAP that energy is a catalyst for job creation, especially through productive use of electricity. And the role that the UEF has really played is enabling this productive use to allow farmers, to allow businesses to utilize electricity to improve their productivity, either through agro-processing, through cold chains, and all other productive uses, meaning then they can be able to create jobs. And really enabling the farmers to access those productive use equipment is so important in creating the jobs that are needed by the growing African population. Well, productive use electricity is really allowing these countries to start chipping in on some of the millions of youth that are entering the workforce. And I think more importantly, also ensuring that there's participation of women. Because the moment you start bringing in some of this productive use equipment, you start to also address the gender gap.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Carol, for your response. And again, the UEF is incredibly appreciative of the partnership between SE for All and Global Energy Alliance for People and Planet. I do have a second question for you. And this is in respect of, what were the reasons that gave GIAP the confidence to back results-based approaches? And how has UEF's performance over 5 years validated that decision and RBF mechanisms generally?
So I think, the fact that SE for All was already present in these countries was one of the reasons, but also that the RBF mechanisms was, models that needed to be tested in order to address the ever-growing challenge of energy access across many African countries. And I think the results have really demonstrated that this is one of the ways that we can fast track. And maybe just, weighing in on the earlier comment from Ashwin around Mission 300, we've seen that, even the bigger funders have started to adopt the RBF funding mechanism. So it was important to demonstrate that these models actually work. And by demonstrating that, it has started to inform the broader funding that is being done, at a much more scale level. So that is very critical for the Global Energy Alliance to learn from. So I would say if you look at RBF mechanisms going forward, I think it will continue to play a significant role in really ensuring that private sector participation is helping to fast track the energy connections as well as the productivity around it by enabling these private sector investors to be assured that once they make connections, there are results, and therefore, they can be reimbursed or they can get the subsidies coming out of those RBF mechanisms.
Thank you so much, Carol. Now, with that being said, that concludes the first panel session. What stands out most clearly is that results-based financing is no longer a theory. It is proven for delivery impact at scale, Over the past 5 years, the Universal Energy Facility has demonstrated that when public, philanthropic, and private partners align around clear outcomes, we can mobilize capital, reduce risk, and bring reliable electricity to communities that have long been left behind, from the thousands of new connections to the businesses, schools, and health facilities now powered across Benin, Madagascar, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and Zambia. Today's conversation reinforces a shared commitment to keep learning, to keep innovating, and to move faster and further towards universal access to clean, affordable, and sustainable energy together. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Anita. What an interesting discussion. And my takeaway, the UEF and its partners are not just catalysts for powering electricity in off-grid communities that are off-grid, but they're also powering dreams and leaving behind a world that will be sustainable for the generations to come. It was so inspiring as well to see such commitment from the UEF partners and to learn about all the exciting plans for the future. Now, let's see those plans with our own eyes as this brief video brings that incredible project to life.
The Universal Energy Facility has changed the energy access story over the past 5 years in demonstrating the importance of results-based finance. Through this approach, developers are able to secure the much-needed capital required to develop mini-grids or interconnected mini-grids at scale. It has supported in bridging the viability gap as well as the affordability concern. Projects that are being delivered are actually fit for purpose as a result of this approach. The facility has made a real difference on the ground across multiple countries, but one example is in Nigeria through our standalone solar for productive use component. This is where we provided grants to support developers in deploying renewable energy solutions in economic clusters. So in these economic clusters, typically they use diesel generators. Now, in displacing these diesel generators with clean, affordable, renewable energy solutions, not only have we been able to improve air quality and reduce noise pollution, but these companies have been able to operate their businesses for longer hours, and ultimately they've been able to increase their level of income. Without access to electricity, we cannot achieve true socio-economic development or growth. In Africa alone, 600 million people do not have access to electricity, and we have less than 5 years to go. Now that's a huge challenge, and everybody has a role to play. And so being part of the solution for me is truly inspiring and essential. 5 years of the Universal Energy Facility means success in demonstrating the power of partnerships and proof of concept.
And so wisdom is known by her children, and the results at UEF are undeniable. That was really uplifting and lovely to see the positive impact that the UEF is having in so many communities across Africa. Now let's pivot into the second half of our conversation. And this next one looks into the future of the UEF and its plans to scale even faster. Now, do you remember when I said that there would be opportunities for you to join? This is the moment. But first, I have the honor of introducing the funders of the SOGRIA initiative. That's the Solan Off-Grid Renewable Energy Acceleration Initiative, who are providing this great opportunities for developers that will be discussed in the next panel. So I welcome Mr. Philippe Rousseau, Team Lead, Rural Development and Infrastructure, European Union Delegation to Sierra Leone, and of course, His Excellency, Mr. Jacob Linhoff, the Ambassador of Denmark to Ghana, to deliver their own remarks.
European Union values the Universal Energy Facility efforts to help governments establish stable business environment, boosting private investment appeal in the energy sector and driving growth in sustainable solutions. European Union praises Universal Energy Facility for its essential support to clean energy companies, enhancing electricity access and fostering economic growth. Co-funded by the EU, the Universal Energy Facility expands sustainable energy solutions, transforming communities by providing clean electricity to schools, clinics, and businesses. This energy source improves daily life and boosts community resilience, driving economic development and bettering livelihoods. Through these efforts, the Universal Energy Facility plays a significant role in building robust, sustainable economies and advancing global progress.
Hello, dear partners. First of all, a sincere and big congratulations with today's launch of this SOGREA project. In this project, Denmark, the European Union, and Sierra Leone joined forces. And our ambition is to provide clean and affordable energy in Sierra Leone. With this new project that we launched today, we are providing households with green power from mini-grids. Exactly 4,800 people will benefit from this, or 720 households plus 80 businesses. My country, Denmark, looks forward to further collaborate with all of you, especially the government of Sierra Leone, to provide and drive sustainable development in Sierra Leone. I wish every single one of you a splendid event and a wonderful day in Freetown or no matter where you are. Thank you.
Welcome back, and thank you, Mr. Rosu and Your Excellency Linolf, for your impactful statements. Back to the opportunity that I mentioned earlier. And just as a reminder that you can also find more information about those opportunities discussed today on the website displaying on your screen. Now, without further ado, let me yield the floor to Anita Otubu yet again to lead the second discussion of the day on the SOGREA program, and she will also announce the opening call for applications. So get set.
Good afternoon and welcome back as we continue this special event. We have reflected on what results-based financing has made possible, how it has accelerated clean energy access, mobilized private capital, and delivered tangible impact for communities across Sub-Saharan Africa. This next segment looks firmly to the future. For those of you joining us now, I'm Anita Otubu, Senior Director of the Universal Energy Facility at Sustainable Energy for All, and it is my privilege to introduce discussion 2, where we announced the SOGREA and formally opened the call for pre-qualification applications. SOGREA, which stands for the Salone Off-Grid Renewable Energy Acceleration Initiative, represents a major step forward for Sierra Leone's off-grid energy sector. Funded by the European Union and the Danish government, and implemented by UNOPS and its hosted entity, Sustainable Energy for All, in close partnership with the government of Sierra Leone. This initiative is designed to unlock private sector investments in green mini-grids at scale and with speed. This program comes at a pivotal moment. Sierra Leone has undertaken meaningful reforms to strengthen its enabling environment for private investment and creating a clearer pathway for developers to build, operate, and scale viable projects. SOGREA is structured to meet this ambition with milestone-triggered CapEx investment support. Today's discussion brings together a distinguished group of leaders who are shaping this opportunity from policy, finance, implementation, and market perspectives. To kick off the session, I'm pleased to invite Mr. Cyril Grant, the Honorable Minister of Energy for Sierra Leone, to give the opening remarks.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. To colleagues, partners, and friends joining us from across Africa and across the world, all protocols observed. Let me begin by congratulating Sustainable Energy for All, the Universal Energy Facility, and all partners on the 5th anniversary of the UEF. 5 years on, the UEF has demonstrated that results-based financing is not only innovative, but effective unlocking private sector investment, accelerating clean energy deployment, and delivering real impact to communities that have long been left behind. For Sierra Leone, this moment is particularly significant. Energy access is central to our national development agenda, supporting economic growth, job creation, improved health and education outcomes, and climate resilience. We are pursuing a clear vision, a modern, inclusive, and low-carbon energy sector that delivers universal access while supporting green growth. Today, I am pleased to formally announce the Salone Off-Grid Renewable Energy Acceleration, SOGREA, initiative. It's a 24 million euro program funded by the European Union and the Danish government, implemented by UNOPS and its hosted entity, Sustainable Energy for All, in close partnership with the government of Sierra Leone. SOGREA represents a major step forward in scaling private sector-led mini-grid development across our country. It builds on the strong foundation laid through policy and regulatory reforms, including our mini-grid regulations and the MITO tariff framework, which together provides an investment-grade environment for developers and financiers. Through this initiative, we are not only expanding electricity access to rural and underserved communities, we are also working to reduce tariffs, improve service quality, and create opportunities for local enterprise and productive use. I encourage developers, investors, and partners to engage actively with the call for pre-qualification being launched today. Sierra Leone is open for responsible, impactful energy investment, and we remain committed to transparency, collaboration, and long-term sustainability. Let me close by expressing my appreciation to the European Union, the Danish government, SE for All, UNOPS, UF partners, and all stakeholders who continue to support Sierra Leone's energy transition. Together, we're demonstrating that with the right policies, partnerships, and financing models, universal energy access is achievable. Thank you, and I look forward to the discussion.
Thank you, Honourable Minister, for your kind remarks. I would now like to dive in by introducing my very esteemed group of panel members. Starting off with Honourable Dr. Kande Yomkela, Chairman, Presidential Initiative on Climate Change, Renewable Energy and Food Security, Office of the President, Government of Sierra Leone. Secondly, Aneshka Skiba, the Program Officer, Energy at the European Union Delegation to Sierra Leone. Thirdly, Natalia Garcia Romero, Senior Project Manager at UNOPS and lead for SOGREA implementation. And last but not the least, Lamideni Afuye, CEO of the African Mini-Grid Developers Association, representing the voice of developers on the continent. Together, they will reflect on why Sierra Leone is ready to scale mini-grid electrification, what makes SOGREA investment ready, and how developers and financiers can engage. Starting today with the opening of the first call for pre-qualification applications. With that being said, I'd like to turn to our distinguished panelist, Honourable Dr. Yomkela. Why is this the right moment for developers and partners to invest in Sierra Leone's mini-grid sector? And what gives you confidence in the country's readiness to scale? Over to you, sir.
I'm very pleased to be part of this panel and part of this initiative. We are investment ready. We've laid our ambition very clear over the next 5 years on off-grid solutions, off-grid energy solutions. We initially set a target now for 200 more mini-grids in the next 3 years. And we're working very closely with the EU and other partners to create that enabling environment in the country. And the good news is SOGREA, we were working on it already. The work we did under Sogria provided some of the inputs we needed to create that plan. So Sogria is embedded in a long-term plan for our country. And investors have to be rest assured that the direction is very clear. We'll create every enabling condition they need. We've introduced incentives, zero tariff on solar technology that is imported. So that is ready to go. We also, as a government, are ready to support to ensure that we facilitate various processes within our Ministry of Energy, Ministry of Finance, to ensure that their products can be cleared quickly at the ports, and also they can implement their projects in communities. Second, we already identified, we did our own studies here 3 and 4 years ago, identifying over 500 sites that are ready for mini grids. We in fact have that data available, so whatever site they choose, they'll have some basic data on population numbers, numbers of households, and additional what kinds of economic activities exist. So we've done part of the homework for investors. That should also help them move quickly. And finally, this is something our president at that high level and myself as his energy sector lead, we're paying close attention to. So you be rest assured that we're ready to troubleshoot at any time to make sure that your projects move. But you're part of a long-term plan, so you don't have to worry about policy shifts. The policy and the development environment will be ready. Finally, we want to thank the European Union because we've also embedded in the Sogria program additional institutional capacity building for the ministry to make sure that they can shepherd this process. We have a mini grids regulation already adopted by Parliament, so that is given. It is there already. So a number of instruments that are needed to make mini grids thrive and become profitable are already in place. There's going to be a clear formula for tariff setting as well. All of that also included in the new mini grids regulation. Over to you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dr. Yomkela. Now moving on to Aneshka.
Thank you very much. To respond to the answer why Sogria is compelling investment for the European Union, first of all, we need to look at the strategic alignment with the government of Sierra Leone. Sogria is part of our EU Global Gateway approach, and also is aligned with Sierra Leone's universal energy access goal to reach by 2040. And we know that universal energy access in at least for the next 10 years, at least for part of the population of Sierra Leone, would be reached still by the mini grids and the solar home system, means that by the off-grid energy sector. Sogria is part of our bigger program with Sierra Leone for off-grid energy access, targeting the rural energy access, productive use of energy, and capacity building for the private sector and human resources in energy. In addition, Sogria is comparing investment because if its financial model is for us is the innovative financial model when the private sector is leading the investments, when the private sector will own, invest, own, operate the mini grids, and we will provide a subsidy for the capital costs based on the results. This model we consider as one of the possible sustainable and has a lot of advantage. One is the risking the capital for the private sector. Secondly is possibly allowing the private sector to leverage additional capital resources. Model also should provide more sustainability for as the private sector is considering for the long-term investment and the long-term operations. And finally, but not least, this model also would, according to our consideration, fill the gap fill the gap between the cost of the energy provision by the private sector or by the producers and the cost for the energy for the customers, for the households, because the subsidy will eventually lower the tariffs. But of course, that can be not investment where there is no good environment for it. So we are proud also that the government of Sierra Leone make the significant efforts to align them to regulatory environment and provide the investment environment for the private sector for investment in mini-grid sector. And last but not least is also about the human impact. We consider that access to the energy is the basic human right, and Socrea, with the support we are providing together with the other partners in Denmark, together with the government of Sierra Leone, should at least give access to energy for additional 35,000 of the additional people, and at least we hope much more 60 additional community in Sierra Leone. And we also hope that this investment, when we be successful, it can also provide to leverage the additional resources for the similar type of the investment, and also to bring to Sierra Leone more private sector, and to allow to consider Sierra Leone as the good investment destination. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Neshka, for that very informative response. Now over to Natalia. UNOPS is known for implementation excellence. How has Sogrea been designed to translate funding into timely, high-quality mini-grid delivery on the ground?
Well, thank you very much, Anita. At UNOPS, together with our hosted entity, C4All, we see our role as the bridge between developing funding and sustainable private sector impact. Sogrea, for us, implementation excellence means actually creating a transparent, bankable, high-quality environment for investing that works for everyone. We have designed Sogrea on 3 core principles to de-risk investment and accelerate delivery. Those are transparency and efficiency through digitalization, smart results-based financing, and sustainability and technical reward. So if you allow me to go one by one, when we say transparency and efficiency through digitalization, to ensure a level playing field, we have adapted the Odyssey platform to manage a streamlined two-stage application process. By digitizing pre-qualification and site-specific selection, we are reducing transaction costs for operators and financiers. And this efficiency ensures that we select partners based on merit and financial solidity, and we give the market the confidence that is needed to mobilize capital quickly. On results-based financing, we are translating the European Union and Danish funds into catalytic capital. Our grant support agreements, they are designed to improve the bankability of these projects. We are releasing the investment support grants against independently verified connection milestones, and that helps financiers with predictable cash flow, and at the same time it ensures that our donors, European Union and Denmark, they pay for tangible, verified results. It's a model of mutual accountability. And then finally, on sustainability and technical rigor, as a United Nations entity, we prioritize long-term impact over short-term gains. And because of that, we have embedded health, safety, social, and environmental standards in our requirements. For an investor, this is a seal of quality. It means that the assets that you're financing are built to last, are socially accepted by the communities, and are regulatory compliant. So in essence, SOGRIA is designed as a trusted mechanism, is reducing risks for the private sector so that you can focus on what private sector does best, delivering clean, reliable energy for the people of Sierra Leone.
Many thanks, Natalia. Super, super insightful. And really looking forward to the outcome of SOGRIA with these great processes that will be put in place by UNOPS and its listed entity, SE for All. Now, moving on to a very important and key partner of ours, Lamide Nyi Afuye, who represents our partnership with the private sector. Now, Lamide, what would you say to developers who are considering applying? Why should they engage with this opportunity now? And what role is AMDA playing in supporting the private sector?
Thanks very much, Anita. And I wanted to add that it's a pleasure to be joined by such distinguished panelists. I will break the question into two parts. So why should developers come in? And then what is AMDA doing? So why should developers come in? When speaking to our members or developers who've expressed strong interest in this program, one of the key messages that I pass across is that this program offers a very strong, well-structured entry point into an evolving market that has clarity, the support, and the coordination of all stakeholders. This program is not your typical results-based financing where we launch the program and then we're figuring out the reforms. This program has front-loaded all the necessary reforms that need to be put in place to ensure that we're only focused on delivery. And more importantly, it also puts private sector developers at the forefront, at the heart of the delivery, and with a private sector mindset. That is a very rare occurrence in our markets that we've observed. One of the perspectives from the developers, I would say, would be that it reduces the upfront cost for the capital exposure. The amended regulatory framework has already been passed by Parliament, as Mr. Yankela said previously. There is clear political and institutional commitment and alignment with the EU and the government of Sierra Leone to decentralize electrification, with developers being positioned as the strong delivery partners. This program also will benefit or is benefiting from regional experience, explicitly addressing the risks around licensing, tariffs, and the implementation delays that we've observed in other programs in the past. And one major point that I would raise or encourage developers to look at is to come in as an early mover, because you come in when the frameworks are still being operationalized rather than when they're sort of hard and fast and everybody is in autopilot. You're securing viable sites. I was encouraged to hear that there was a lot of work done to identify over 500 sites that are viable. You're participating at implementation level dialogue that shapes how the rules are applied in practice, and you're avoiding any of the inefficiencies that could typically come when you're a late mover into a market. We've seen the benefits of that in many markets. We see in countries like Nigeria and other markets the need for first mover advantage, if you like. And I would be remiss to not include or to include that there's been strong technical leadership from the Universal Energy Facility and the UNOPS, speaking about your excellent delivery, and the UAF's technical experience led by Anita Otubu has drawn deliberately from lessons from other RBF programs that you've managed across the continent. So this would help reduce the risks and improve the bankability of the projects from the outset. One of the areas of obviously strong reasons why this program is attractive is the amended regulations, which I mentioned in the past, ongoing engagement with stakeholders. Very rarely do you see that sort of carrying the private sector along whilst the program is being developed, and I've been encouraged by this process so far, and an openness and a pragmatism that is important to ensure that these programs, we're taking lessons learned, we're evolving as we're going along. And one of the things that we look ahead to would be, obviously, we encourage the government to continue to create that enabling environment towards cost-effective tariffs, ensuring that they're targeted fiscal exemptions where required, and continue to streamline approvals and permitting to reduce any delays or transaction costs. And the second fold, what is AMDA doing? AMDA, as a Pan-African organization, will benefit from practical experiences in other markets. So we'll continue to play a supportive role to developers engaging with SOGRIA. We will support them by translating policy and regulation into practical implementation guidance based on continental experience. We will share lessons learned from the multiple African markets where mini-grid regulations have moved from paper to practice. We will engage regulators and other agencies to ensure developers' realities inform the implementation decisions. And we will support with our access to capital programs, like our AMDA Capital Connect, where we match developers to investors, and our upcoming CFO placement program, where we match qualified CFOs with developers as well. I will close by saying to our developers that the message is quite straightforward. SOGRIA represents a very well-structured, well-put-together opportunity to engage early in the market, strengthening its foundations for distributed renewable energy delivery. Developers engaging now are not only accessing RBF supports, they are helping shape a market framework capable of delivering scale, sustainability, and long-term impact. AMDA stands ready to play its role to ensure that this engagement is informed, it's coordinated, it's constructive, and delivers value to the government, to developers, and to the people of Sierra Leone. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lamide. Once again, truly support. I'm starting again. Once again, thank you so much, Lamide, for the support that you are providing through AMDA to the SOGRIA program. We really can't do this without working hand in hand with the private sector, in particular developers. Now, with that being said, I would like to invite the audience to apply for pre-qualification under SOGRIA. Please see information on the screen as I speak. Looking ahead, SOGRIA represents a powerful invitation to the private sector to be part of Sierra Leone's next chapter in clean energy growth. With strong government, leadership, committed international partners, and a clear milestone-based investment framework, the conditions are in place for developers and financiers to scale high-quality green mini-grids with confidence. I encourage all mini-grid companies who share our ambition for impact, innovation, and long-term sustainability to take this step forward and apply to the SOGRIA pre-qualification core, because the opportunity to shape Sierra Leone's off-grid energy future has begun. Thank you very much.
Amazing. So there's something for everyone, for all developers, and there's accountability, there's transparency, and it's a guaranteed profitable regime of investment for the SOGRIA initiative. I don't know about you, I'm energized and as inspired as all partners are. It's a great opportunity for everyone out there who may be interested in building or upgrading mini grids across Sierra Leone. So you can submit your funding applications and pre-qualification application on a secure link. You can find all the information or on what you need about the application process on the link displayed on your screen right now. So I'd like to leave you rather with some powerful statistics. While you were watching this broadcast, About 1 billion people around the world have been scrolling on their phones, and every second, roughly 30,000 of them submitted a prompt to ChatGPT, and that adds to around 2.5 billion prompts a day, each using 10 times more energy than a traditional Google search. True. So on this Clean Energy Day, it is worth reflecting on how deeply energy underpins almost every part of our daily lives. And for those living in developing countries, this type of energy is simply out of reach. In fact, over 600 million people in many parts of the world, within Africa being the most impacted, currently live without any form of electricity. Universal Energy Facility, UEF, is aiming to change this narrative by bringing clean energy to communities that are, in some cases, starting from zero or very little energy. And so I think we can all agree that this is worth celebrating. I look forward to seeing what new and inspirational impacts that the UEF will make in more countries over the next 5 years. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it has been my pleasure to spend this International Day of Clean Energy with you. Thank you for spending your time with me. And so my last request is that you please send a message, a comment on this event, or even a photo or a video of what you plan to commit to do on this Clean Energy Day and beyond today, of course. For me, I commit to using less electricity at home this year, God helping me through my very energetic children. Please use the hashtags when you post, hashtag International Day of Clean Energy or hashtag Clean Energy. Thank you so much, everyone, and happy Clean Energy Day. Bye for now.